close.
Okay. Go ahead.
The mimer. So this is really my return to the class. And we're 3 shears into probably what's going to be 10 classes or so. And there's such smart people attending. Rabbi aside, the questions that come from Chaim and from Adam and from Ephraim, seriously, like I'm outclassed. Clearly, I'm outclassed, but I do learn every single day. And over the 2.5 years that I've been attending this shir, slowly it's starting to sink into who I am. But my approach, whether it's to a mimer or a sikha of the Rebbe, or if I'm learning a Gemara, is trying to figure out how do I synthesize this and get closer to God? Because God's this big, vast thing. I'm about tshuva. I wasn't born drinking the Kool-Aid up through the system, learning everything. So I just need to know, how do I come a little closer? And really this mimer to re-enter the shir with, I mean, it couldn't be more perfect. This mimer is mind-blowing. It's awesome. Rabbi, I know you hate that word, but in this case, it's awesome. Because when it comes time to getting closer to Hashem, this mimer first was said in 1960 by the Rebbe on the second day of Shavuos, and it directly relates to the holiday, and the overriding theme is closeness. So there's a lot of detail. It's based on a Mishnah, and the Mishnah essentially says that there were 5 things that were very important for Hashem as a precursor to creating the whole universe. And the words, sorry, I can't repeat them exactly, but essentially it said 5 things were very important for Hashem to acquire in his world. So like every other thing in our liturgy, every single word is a 15-minute discussion, which leads to questions and other. In this case, the words were to acquire. Why would Hashem need to acquire something if he owns the whole store? Everything in it belongs to him. And in his world also is it's almost like a misnomer, because it is his world. So the 5 things are described as the Bet HaMikdash, Echad, the Jews, Echad, Avram, Echad, Torah, Echad. What's the 5th one, Rabbi? Yeah.
Shemayim v'oretz.
Heaven and earth, Echad. Avram, yeah, I already hit Avram. He's a key guy for this. So the question comes, why is it at Echad? Why don't you say Hashem had to acquire, whatever that means, for his world, whatever that means? Number 1, he needs Avram. Number 2, number 3, like you normally count. So part of the answer that we got so far, I think Chaim threw this out there a little bit as well, was that on the very first day of creation, Hashem described creating the world as Echad, which signifies an unbelievable unity between what he created and the creator himself. And within the level of 5 things, there's the, in the middle of the 5 things that were so important for Hashem was the Jews. The Jews were one of the achads, one of the precious achads. It was mamasha, a business plan before like the world was the world. Hashem came up with the business plan of 5 key ingredients in this recipe to make this concoction. So any one of those pieces removed, it just wouldn't do it. So the achad part for me, what it comes down to so far after 3 classes is that he chose to have a closeness with the Jews. And as my wife pointed out, when we were talking about this, she said, you know, that Hashem went to each of the nations with his Torah and had asked, do you want it? Like everybody was making a deal. The only people that said it, as we all know, the Jews said, we'll take it. The old joke, don't have to go there. So the Jews were not only chosen, but we chose as well. And to me, the whole idea of it is that, wow, I'm chosen. My forebears chose back, and this is why we receive the Torah and everything and the stories that we go through. This to me helps me get closer to Hashem in a way that when I'm learning, you know, every day we have a ton of assignments for with Chabad. We have our Tehillim, we have the Parsha, we have Rambam, Rashi. We have a ton of these things. You kind of approach it as things that you have to do. It feels good to do it. I think feel is kind of the operating word, because it feels good to me. Like, I finished everything today. I feel accomplished. But am I closer to Hashem for doing it? I know it's appreciated. I know it's expected. I know that, but I'm not doing it for a reward. I'm doing it because it's part of this whole thing that I've gotten, that I've adopted as my pathway to a better and a happier life for me and my family and my community. So just to conclude, when I learn something, a sicha, it doesn't even have to be something from Chabad. It's just learning. My goal is always how to come a little bit closer. And you couldn't come closer than learning this mimer on Shavuos. And that's kind of what I've taken from the mimer so far. And the intricacies of it, I do have to admit to having to re-listen to the recordings, because much of the terminology, or a goodly percentage of it, while I'm familiar with it, while I'm trying to put together the pieces, and it's so intricate. A mimer is a discourse. It's a master's level course. It's not for the faint of heart. You really need to work at it. And I have my own little personal glossary that I have to keep. But with my sieve of a brain, I always have to refer back to the glossary. But the most important is what meaning it brings. Not the technical, not the topography, not the geography, not the layout of everything. That's a bonus. That's just sort of supporting evidence for me. What's most important to me is that I'm chosen. We chose back as a people, and I just can't help but to feel that it's a very hopeful. And it's true, like that's the other thing that I always feel when I'm learning something that I'm able to connect with Hashem with. It always is so hopeful. It's like, you know, I did so many things wrong today, but you learn something and there's still hope. Hashem, there's still a little hope for me. So that's my take on 3 classes in. And I couldn't be happier. And falling on Shavuos and the story of Ruth, Naomi and mother-in-laws and connections to. So I'm kind of like Ruth. I find it, I really like, I was part of the nation by birth lottery, just a birth lottery. I happened to be born Jewish, thank God. But like Ruth, at a later time in life, I came to it and I cling to it. And that's essentially, this was a good Shavuos, and I stayed away from the cheesecake. Chaim.
Chaim. Official?
A good Jew wouldn't stay away from the cheesecake.
Yeah.
I don't know my wife.
Thank you. Would you share a few words? This is unprepared and